What's going on, Jungle? Welcome to the Jungle. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It's Monday, December 2nd here in Buffalo, New York. It's pretty snowy. We're going to get into this Broncos and Browns game quite a bit in just a minute here. And it's a game that isn't broken down as much as it should be. And there's a very public side in this. So you could probably figure out what it is, even with the spread. I'm going to tell you if they're right or wrong and the reasons I think that. Let me take these off today. Make it a little more intimate, baby. I'm going to tell you if they're right or wrong, what side to be on. I got some player props for you. Got some other interesting things to take a look at today. All right, all right. So there's a lot to get to with this Broncos and Browns game. I'm very interested in it. I have a very strong opinion about the side. Yes. Now I should tell you, we took the weekend off from videos, the holiday weekend, just to recharge. We're going to start full speed here. I'm going to start live feeds like we've been doing every weekday, 3 to 3:30 here on YouTube Eastern time, and also on TikTok, 4 o'clock to 4:30. So follow me there over on TikTok. A little bit of a different show, but most of the same information. So we're ramping up our live game, ramping up everything that we do. Please share the channel with everyone that you know who may be interested in this. I appreciate all the love and support. I'm happy to be able to do this for a living, and you guys provide me the opportunity to do that. So share the love. Let's get this jungle growing. We're going to recap yesterday. We had a profitable day. We were up 1.9 units, 13-10 total. We went 12-9 in the NFL, 1-1 in the NBA. Notable win yesterday is we had the Eagles +3 against the Ravens. I thought about taking them on the money line. I love the bet +3. I decided against the money line. I never hindsight bets. I should have said, I should have taken them. I thought about taking the money line, but at the end of the day, I was happy to get a field goal with the team that I thought was a superior team in that game, and that, they had the edge, and they clearly did have the edge against Baltimore. I talk a lot about games like that, what the weakest unit is within a game, and that was the weakest unit in that game is the Ravens secondary. Now, Philly didn't take full advantage of it like I thought they would, but that defense, man, that defense was nasty. They gave Lamar all he could handle, and I'm glad we were on the Philly side of things. So, profitable day. We started off, we're plus 1.9 units to start off December, looking to have a green December. We were in the red for November, down about 10 units in November, fully transparent all the time, coming off a strong October. We were up over 20 units in October. So last few months were profitable, looking to make December awesome and end the year in the green. It'll be a profitable year in 2024. We're happy about that, and 25 should be as well. So let's take a look at my first bet in Cleveland and Denver tonight. And that's, well, first of all, the weather's going to be fine here. I know a lot of people are worried about the weather because in Denver it's December 2nd. But last I checked, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 3-mile-an-hour winds, 0 precipitation, shouldn't affect the game whatsoever, in my opinion. So the passing game should be okay here. Jerry Jeudy, over 4.5 catches is my favorite prop bet. He's been over this his last 3 games, 28 targets, 19 catches in Judy's last 3 games. Both are top 15 in the NFL. Cedric Tillman, who's normally on the other side of him, they have Elijah Moore, plays a slot. He'll be moved to the 2 today. But Tillman's out with a concussion. So even more targets, those 28 targets in 3 games, even more targets, those 49 targets that Tillman has for the season are going to have to go somewhere. Denver covers tight ends pretty well. So Njoku might not have the game that people are expecting. It's also a revenge game for Jerry Jeudy. This is the team that he fought with, the team that didn't want him, and he didn't want that team. He didn't want to be in Denver anymore. They parted ways with animosity. I think this is a good spot for Jeudy. Now you're going to say to me, Silverback, SB, my dude, what about Patrick Surtain on the other side? Because Patrick Surtain said publicly that he wants to lock Jeudy down tonight. They didn't get along because Jeudy didn't get along with anyone on Denver. And frankly, he didn't really hustle that much. He didn't try that hard in Denver. He's been reborn, rejuvenated in Cleveland. He's having a really good year in Cleveland, as good as you can But that offense with Deshaun Watson, stunk at first. But Jameis Winston is different with this offense, and I think that people make the mistake of viewing this Cleveland Browns team with Winston the same way they viewed them with Deshaun Watson, and that's a mistake in my opinion. They're a very different team, and you could tell that Stefanski trusts Winston to throw the ball more. You could see that that's evident by the numbers. The offense is different. They're opening things up more. So you're going to say to me, what about Pat Surtain on the other side, all-pro corner, lockdown corner? But let's take a look at how number one receivers, and Judy's the number one on Cleveland. Let's look at how number one receivers have done recently in this season against Surtain. Denver's last game, I saw Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders have 10 catches for 121 yards against Surtain. Surtain was on him in man-to-man coverage. He caught 10 balls for $121. And no one was on the other side. Who's their number two wide receiver, the Raiders? And you're going to say Brock Bowers. No, Brock Bowers is the tight end. And the linebackers and strong safety will cover the tight end in offenses like that. So it's Surtain on him, Jacoby Myers. 10 catches, 121 yards. Zay Flowers had 5 catches for 127 and 2 tugs on him. One-on-one with Surtain. Jalen Coker, 4 catches for 78 and a tutty from the Panthers on Surtain. And Cedric Wilson, the pesky number one wideout in the New Orleans Saints offense currently, caught 6 balls on Surtain. So while anyone's argument that Pat Surtain is a good cornerback is of course valid, I don't think that Jerry Jeudy is going to be affected that much by him. I think he can get 5 catches. Nate wants to know, I don't think that Peyton, having coached famous Jameis in New Orleans and knowing him his weaknesses, have a big plus for Denver defensively. I don't, Nate, because that Saints team, that Buccaneers team that famous Jameis played on ran an entirely different offense than the Cleveland Browns do. Kevin Stefanski's offense is very different, very unique. And any weaknesses that Winston had within the system of Tampa Bay aren't going to be the same within Cleveland. Different running game, different tight end, different wide receivers, just a different scheme entirely. I don't think that that's going to be as much of a big deal as people think. People had the same question about Riley Leonard when they played the Texas A&M Aggies the opening week this year, Notre Dame and Texas A&M. They said, well, Texas A&M coach Riley Leonard. He knows his weaknesses, man. He knows. Jerry Jeudy gets paid too. Okay. And, there's tape on every one of these guys, ladder trees, everything that people do. At the bottom, the bottom line, at the end of the day, man, Pat Surtain's got to have to cover Jeudy, and Winston's going to be on the field slinging the rock. I get that Peyton coached against him twice a year, but also how many Bills coaches coached against Tom Brady twice a year, knew his weaknesses and strengths, and that didn't really matter for anything. In fact, Tom Brady went through a stretch. He had more wins in Bills Stadium than most Bills quarterbacks over 10 years. So I think that might be a little bit overhyped, although I do understand your point. So like we said, Cedric Wilson of the Saints got him for 6 catches. Now, Cleveland is +6. Okay. 76% of the public is on Denver laying the 6. And where I get these numbers, there's a website called thespread.com. It updates every 10 minutes. And why that's the best place to check, and it's free. The reason that's the best place to check public bets and games is because it takes the accumulation of all the major sports books. I think 92 different, sports books report to them. That's where they take the algorithms from. So they're getting information, not just from, because if you watch ESPN Bet, the show, if you watch ESPN Bet and they tell you 48% of the public is on this team or that team, it's based only off their information that comes in from ESPN Bet. But the spread.com takes information from all of the sports betting apps and puts them together. Updates every 10 minutes. So the spread.com, the most accurate you can get, 76% of the public was on Denver. Now the look-ahead line for this, the look-ahead spread was 3.5. And that's with Jameis Winston. Nothing changed. It's not with Watson. But a week ago, the look ahead spread was 3.5. Now we're up to 6. So my question to you, and I ask this all the time, was Vegas 2.5 points off their first spread? Usually the answer is no. The public has fallen in love with this Broncos team. They've fallen in love with betting Denver tonight, fading. But I want to talk to you about something. Before you pull the trigger on that bet, I want you to understand the facts that go into this game. Denver's 7-5. Cleveland is 3-8. Denver has beaten 0 teams with a winning record. 0 teams. 0. They have not beaten a winning team all season long. Now they beat Tampa and Atlanta, who are 6-6. That's not a winning record. That's 500. But they beat the Raiders twice. They beat the Jets. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Saints. Okay? They haven't been tested. When they've been tested, they failed. They've come up miserably. The teams that have beat Denver are physical teams. They play physical. The Chargers, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Seahawks have a physical defense. Those teams that have beaten Denver play physical. Rookie quarterbacks, Bo Nix has been very good the last 5 weeks. Those rookie quarterbacks do not like the physicality and the speed that a good defense brings in the NFL. So they've beaten 0 teams. The public loves them. They've beaten 0, 0, 0. How many, Johnny? 0 teams with a winning record. 0. The Cleveland Browns, with their 3-8 records, have beaten 2 teams with a winning record. They've beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lead the AFC North, and they've beaten the Baltimore Ravens, who are a lot of people's pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's something very much worth noting, in my opinion. In Denver's 7 wins they have this season, here's their opponent's record. And their 7 wins, the 7 teams Denver has beaten, their opponent's record is 26-58. 26-58. And the Browns' 3 wins this season, their opponent's record in those games, 19-15. Now remember, Deshaun Watson isn't here anymore. This is Jameis Winston. This is a lot different. This team's a lot different. In fact, the passing offense has been rejuvenated. Like I mentioned earlier, Kevin Stefanski trusts Winston. They're throwing the ball. They're opening up the offense a lot more. Jameis Winston, in the last 5 games, there's only one quarterback that has more passing yards than Jameis Winston the last 5 weeks. Only one, and that's Joe Burrow. Jameis Winston's number 2. He's slinging the rock. Now, this Denver defensive line and the linebacker unit is good. They have one of the best front sevens in the NFL. Talent-wise, they're good, but they play hard. Their motors are going. Okay, they play tough. But where you can beat them is the passing game. Their secondary, Pat Surtain, a little overrated, I think. Not as much as Sauce Gardner, not as much as Jalen Ramsey, especially not as much as Sauce Gardner. But their secondary is overrated. You can get them there, middle of the pack, in every stat there is. They don't excel in anything in the secondary. The Browns' defense has been playing out of their mind recently, and that's important against a rookie quarterback. The Browns' defense the last 5 games is first by a mile in tackles for losses. That's an important stat because it puts you behind the sticks. Putting rookies quarterbacks behind the sticks is an underrated part of playing defense. First by a mile, 39 tackles for losses last 5 games. Second closest, 32, Minnesota. The Browns' defense, 4th in sacks the last 5 games. Arizona's first. My boy T-Bone, I think, was right about the Cardinals' defense. He says they're physical and they're good. I didn't agree with him, but I'm starting to come around on that. I think the Arizona's Cardinals' defense is pretty good. But Cleveland, 4th in sacks the last 5 games. One behind second place. Myles Garrett's been playing out of his mind. Myles Garrett is first, number 1 in sacks the last 5 weeks. Number 1. So this Cleveland defense is playing inspired football. They're playing tough. They're playing hard. They've played physical teams and beaten them. The Broncos have played physical teams and lost to them. Cleveland. Here's another stat I like about Cleveland. Cleveland has given up the least amount of first downs this season of any team. Cleveland defense has given up the least amount of first downs of any team in the NFL this season. 192. That's fewer than Pittsburgh's 212, fewer than Philly's 214, and fewer than Denver's 219, the defense that everyone gets a hard on about, right? Cleveland's given up the least amount of first downs. They're playing inspired football, man. Cleveland's also the fourth least penalized team. Denver's in the top 10. They're a little more disciplined than people think. People look at the records, they watch First Take, and they see people praise the Broncos. And of course, the Browns aren't, they're not a world beater. Don't get me wrong. But I'm trying to help you understand all the sides of this bet, all the sides of this game, and everything that can happen within this game. I want you to be fully educated as a bettor when you go to pull that trigger today, or you pull another trigger. You have a few bets in this game. So me, I'm on Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I thought about him on the money line. I didn't take it. Now, what I did do, I price shop, of course. If you don't price shop, you're leaving money on the table. And the best price for Cleveland +6 was ESPN bet was -105. I bumped it up to 6.5 for -115. So I have the Browns +6.5. What you're doing there essentially is you're buying a 6-point hook. So they lose by 6, you get the win. Instead of the push, that's a very likely outcome tonight. Personally, I think Cleveland's going to win the game. And I'm happy as can be to take the 6.5. And I'll never tell you what to bet, but I think you should consider everything that I talked about when you make this bet today. There's a prop I like on Denver's side. And it's rookie, excuse me. It's a rookie wide receiver from Utah. Where's he from? From Utah. The Utes. Devon Vele. I like him over 34.5 receiving yards. Bo Nix has a great rapport with him, the rookie wide receiver from Utah. He's their second most targeted receiver, runs really good routes, really one of the best route runners to come out of the combine, come out of the draft. Like I said, second highest targeted receiver on Denver. Last 3 games, 18 targets, 14 catches, 62 yards a game. I like him a lot. Over 34.5 receiving yards. So that's my 3 bets today so far. Browns +6.5. Vele over 34.5 receiving yards, and Jerry Jeudy over 4.5 catches. Love these bets a lot, guys. I love them. Let me know if you have any questions. He's from Utah. Tommy, he's from Utah, baby. Other interesting stats to take a look at, to take a gander at, to dive into if you want to. If you're into more prop bets tonight, things I found out, discovered for you. Bo Nix line, his rushing line of 22.5 yards. He's been under this in 4 of his last 5 games. He's throwing more as he gets more comfortable. I think that's going to be problematic tonight against a really good Browns pass rush. I think that Myles Garrett's going to get to him. I do. But I think his under rushing yards, 22.5 is worth taking a look at. Cortland Sutton, longest reception, over 22.5 yards. Over this in 4 of his last 5 games might be worth taking a look at. Bo Nix has not thrown an interception in his last 5 games. All right. Pass rush might happen. Might happen. So you're getting a good price because he's been under this in 4 of his last 5. And Nick Chubb has been under his rushing and receiving line of 61.5 since he's been back this season every single game. I don't like Nick Chubb today. I think they'll have a hard time running the ball. I do, but I think that they can at least they're going to at least make the Denver defense stay honest against the pass. I also like Jameis Winston over 34.5 passing attempts. I think that's a great prop today too. So that's everything that I'm looking at. That's everything that I like today from the Browns and Broncos game. In the comments, is there anything you want me to take a look at or give you my opinion on anything that you're betting in this game? I could do that for you now. What do you guys got? Now, in terms of the association, the NBA, not a lot of action today. Only 4 games, much to my disappointment. That's my favorite sport. However, on days when there's, Monday night football, Thursday night football, it's a little bit better for me to be able to dial in on less things. So I don't mind it when there's football games, on days there's football. But there's one game that I'm interested in tonight. Of the 3 games, there's one game I have 3 prop bets in, and it's the Hawks and the Pelicans. Revenge game for DeJounte Murray, who's now with the Pelicans. Um, the Pelicans give up the second most points in the Western Conference. Okay. The Hawks, Sharon Stokes likes Giddy over 5.5 assists or 12.5 points and rebounds for plus money. I don't mind that at all, Sharon, especially Giddy coming off. He's dipped a little bit. I actually like that bet. I like that bet, Sharon, today. Where I am in the Hawks and Pelicans game, and it's funny because all 3 prop bets are on the same side here. They're on the same team. The Hawks run, they run, they run, they run, they run. And they score, they score, they score, and they're playing a team that gives up a ton of points today. In the Pelicans, no Jose Alvarado. So, the defense knows no Zion. So the defense is a little bit suspect. Oh, rebounds and assists. I was going to say, holy cow. Yeah, so 12.5 rebounds and assists, Sharon. I do like that better than Giddy's points. I like to bet his activity more than I do his points. So I do like that. 12.5 rebounds and assists for Josh Giddey and plus 104, it looks like. But the Hawks side of things, okay, and all 3 props are on the Hawks side. You might think that's silly. Say, well, how can all that happen? Well, these 3 prop bets for the Hawks that I'm going to give you, they've all hit the last 4 games together. All this is hit together the last 4 games, so it's not like they're really taken away from one another, okay? DeJounte Murray's a very good defender, and he's questionable. I think he's going to play in this game against Atlanta. It's a revenge game for him. I think because it was a lot, should we trade Trae Young? Should we trade DeJounte? They ended up getting rid of DeJounte Murray. I think he's going to play very good defense on Trae Young today. Trae Young hasn't been shooting a lot to begin with, but I think today, if Trae plays, he's questionable. But I think today he dishes even more. To that point, I like Okongwu over 9.5 points. The center, Clint Capella starts. Okongwu comes in, but they share minutes. They're both going to split the minutes right down the middle. Okongwu, I like over 9.5 points. I like the Frenchman rookie, Zachary Richichet. I like him over 9.5 points. He's a great defender. He's the best defender the Hawks have. That means that Quinn Snyder likes him on the court as much as he can have him on the court, right? And he's been scoring. He's getting more confidence shooting now. Right, he's good for 1 steal to take down court too a game and get those 2 points. Richichet over 9.5 points. Zachary Richichet, baby, over 9.5. And my staple, Jalen Johnson over 23.5 points plus assists. Jalen Johnson is one of the most underappreciated betting players to bet on in the NBA. He's over this line in 9 of his last 10 games. He sees more minutes than anybody, even Trae Young on the Atlanta Hawks. I like him today over 23.5 points and assists. If you watch the game or if you follow the game in Gamecast or one of those apps, you're going to see that very, very often. It's going to say Jalen Johnson's doing something. He's getting a rebound. Jalen Johnson got an assist. He shot the ball. But yeah, he's been nice. Jalen Johnson, JJ's been nice, man. But he's always active. He's always got his hands in the ball, and he's always in the game. Jalen Johnson over 23.5 points. Zach Richichet over 9.5 points. And Okongwu, what a bunch of names today for the Hawks, over 9.5 points. That's what I got for you guys today. I'll be back tomorrow for a full NBA slate at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. I'm also doing a live show today and every weekday over on TikTok. So give me a follow over there. You can spend more time with me. 4 o'clock Eastern time on TikTok. Anything you guys want me to take a look at today? What does Sharon have? Sharon has Rudy Gobert double-double and Schroeder under 7.5 assists. So Rudy Gobert double-double. I do like today. For some reason, out of the books like Naz Reid points. I don't know if he's going to get more minutes than he normally does. But Gobert, I'm always a little bit leery of his points, especially because Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle don't like to pass to him. I think it's funny they don't really like him, but they don't pass to him a lot. So I worry a little bit about his points. Schroeder under 7.5 assists. Schroeder's hard to bet on because he goes bananas or he has nothing. Now Cam Thomas is out of this game, so that might be something to consider because although Schroeder's the point guard, Cam Thomas does bring the ball up a little bit. So Schroeder's going to get 1 or 2 assists that might ordinarily go to Cam Thomas. So Sharon, I like the double double for Rudy more than I like the more than I like the Dennis Schroeder under. Any other questions, guys, before we head out and get ready for TikTok? All right. Well, who's on the Browns with me? You're going to take the Browns with me. Did I present the case beyond a reasonable doubt for you to back the Browns with me with the 6 or with the 6.5 on ESPN Bet? I hope that you found this information helpful, whatever side you take. And I'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock, with a little more money in your pocket.